Bristol City look like they have their new manager. And hopefully I'm not going too early like I did with John Eustace, and I'm not going to have egg on my face this time as well. But it looks like Liam Manning is set to be confirmed as new Bristol City manager within the next 48 hours. I briefly touched on Liam Manning in the last video after it was revealed that Bristol City have him in their thoughts, and it looks like he'll be under consideration for the role. But I didn't really believe it was going to go much further than that, with the fact that we'd have to pay compensation to get him out of his current job at Oxford. And generally, I don't really think our fans would warm to him that much. This felt a bit of a risk, and now that it's come to kind of into the spotlight that he is going to be announced as a new Bristol City manager, I'm all for this. I mentioned Liam Manning plays some very, very good football and has done at Oxford, at West Ham under-23s, at MK Dons, and even abroad. So I do believe this is going to translate very quickly into that Bristol City squad. He's also had a bit of an indifferent career so far. MK Dons' first season was absolutely brilliant. They had Scott Twine, Harry Darling, really progressed them and got them into the playoff semi-final where they lost out to Wickham. Then the next season, they sold Scott Twine, they sold Harry Darling, two best players out the door. Not really much was reinvested, and then they kind of fell apart a little bit. And now MK Dons are well in League Two. He got the Oxford United job last season, where they were in a bit of a pickle down at the bottom of League One. Got them out of the relegation zone with, ease eventually, and had some tough fixtures as well, Oxford. This season transformed them, and they sit second in League One. And if it wasn't for Portsmouth being unbeaten so far under John Mousinho, they'd really, really be pushing the first spot. Manning's career trajectory is quite interesting. He's kind of worked almost everywhere, really. He's worked in the academy system at West Ham under 23s. He then left to go to Lommel SK in 2020, and then worked there for a year, and then came back to England to work at MK Dons, as I mentioned. 1.5 seasons there, got sacked, went to Oxford last season, then still technically there, but it looks like he'll be announced soon. So he's been abroad, he's been in the academy system, so he's worked with the youngsters, he's also worked, in a foreign system, so has that adaptability, hopefully, and has that kind of experience of what, it is at a first team level. And it looks like he'll now be working in the Championship for the first time in his career at Bristol City. His playing career is nothing really to shout about, but he has been a bit of a journeyman down in the lower league. Started off at Ipswich in his academy years, and then went off to the likes of Leiston, Woodbridge Town, Selfoss, Leiston again, Wroxham, and then eventually ended up at Ipswich Wanderers. So not really much to write about in terms of his professional playing career, but his managerial career, a little bit of a step up. His Oxford side this season, as I mentioned, they sit second in League One behind unbeaten Portsmouth. They have won 10 games out of their 15 they've played. They've lost 3, drawn 2, scoring 28 goals in the process, 32 points, so that is above 2 points per game. And for a side that was really, really struggling last season, a few additions, Ruben Rodriguez, Stephanie Mills, etc., and a few outgoings, has really helped change their fortunes, and a lot of that has to go down to Manning's good work. To the fans arguing, well, he was sacked at MK Dons, so how are we meant to believe this is an upgrade on Nigel Pearson? Well, we don't know, because he's never managed in the Championship. He's only managed at League One level in England, so this is going to be interesting to see how he makes that jump up. I don't necessarily think it's much of a step up in terms of going from League One into Championship. I think a lot of clubs have come from League One as a Championship, but relatively dominant in League One, and just made the comfortable step up and just stay there and progress from there on. I can give you lots of examples: Coventry, Luton, Ipswich this season, Plymouth as well to a certain extent, who just come up, they've stayed, and they've progressed from there on. They've made progress. So I don't think there's much of a difference, and I don't think there's a severe disparity in terms of quality. So I do think this is not going to be as much of a step up or a complete culture shock for Manning if he is announced pretty soon. Well, it's not exactly like Manning has got multiple promotions on his CV in the lower leagues, and then he's worked himself up to League One, and potentially this is their next big step. It's quite rapid progress at Oxford in quite a short period of time. However, I do think his style of football, his age, his ability to progress players is really, really what I think taken the eye and caught the eye of John Lansdowne and Steve Lansdowne at the Bristol City board. I don't think it's his success, because frankly, there's not been a promotion, so there's not been, the eye-catching CV. I do think this is more to do with his style of play and the ability he has to take players and then really progress them. If you look at the players in our squad at the moment, Tommy Conway, Anis Mehmeti, Sam Bell, I could name you a lot more, Taylor Gordon-Hickman, who are all almost there. If they make that next step, they could easily become one of the best championship players around. So hopefully Liam Manning is the guy to kind of provide that style of play, which has been working in the championship. The trend suggests it will at Bristol City as well. I don't think that there's much different in that scenario. Hopefully, this is the next step up, and Bristol City can play some good football, get the best out of players, and have some real success. Well, what do I think of it? I think this is a very good appointment, in all honesty. And with the kind of names being branded around, John Eustace, Frank Lampard, etc., I do believe Liam Manning is possibly the most realistic and possibly the best option that's been talked about. The likes of Michael Beale, other coachy kind of managers that Bristol City have been linked with, and John Lansdowne has clearly highlighted that Bristol City want to go down that route, which has provided success to other championship clubs recently as well. I think Liam Manning is possibly the best one out there. His style of play, which is very good, possession based, high energy, but they're willing to move the ball very quickly and not just kind of slowly progress up the pitch, a bit like Ross Martin. I think it's a bit different to that, and I do think the ball will go up to our wide men and our front players a lot quicker and a bit more direct as well, and I do think that's a positive. I think his age is a massive positive as well. I think he's going to be a massive asset to Bristol City if we do get this one over the line, and his stock inevitably will go up if he does have success here at Ashton Gate. So, in my opinion, this is a very good appointment. Whether it's an upgrade on Nigel Pearson, well, I don't necessarily think it'll be a massive change in the short term, because I think the injuries we have at the moment, I think bedding in time that Manning will need will probably take the whole of this season. He'll need the summer window, in my opinion, as well, to really make progress. But this is possibly the best one we could have got out of the names that have been linked with the vacancy at Ashton Gate. It was Sky Sports that first came out with this rumour and confirmed that, Bristol City are set to pay a 6-figure compensation, which is further added by Bristol Live, to Oxford to get him out of his contract and then get him into the role at Ashton Gate. I do think this is going to be worth it, and I do think this is going to be a solid appointment from Bristol City. Maybe not in the short term, as I said, but definitely going to be benefiting us in the long term. Well, Bristol City fans, Oxford fans, I know you're a bit fed up of us right now with Rob Dickey, Rob Atkinson, Mark Sykes, all ex-Oxford players. Let me know your thoughts on Liam Manning. If you're an Oxford fan, please try to be a little bit civil. We don't try and harm you. We just want the best for our football club. And, well, if we think your best players and your manager's going to do that for us, then brilliant for us, I suppose. We feel the same way with Bournemouth. They just keep nicking our best players, and it's a bit annoying. But if you're an Oxford fan, if you're a Bristol City fan, how do you feel about this appointment? Let me know down in the comment section down below. Finally, I just want to say there's been a lot of reaction on Twitter regarding this news, and a lot of it, in my opinion, has just been unjust and just completely over the top. Liam Manning is a perfectly competent manager who is possibly not a downgrade on Nigel Pearson. Again, we will probably find out in the longer term rather than the shorter term. So please give him time. Please be patient with Liam Manning. He's trying to implement a new style of play that's going to take a bit of time to bed into the players and get used to for them. So, please do give him the time. And yeah, I do think the reaction is a little bit over the top, from especially what I've seen on Twitter. The guy's going to bring some good football to Ashton Gate. He's going to bring that element of excitement, and I do think fans eventually will get excited to go watch Bristol City rather than expect nothing when they go down into BS3. So please be patient with Liam Manning and please be supporting of him, because I don't think it's fair on both Manning and the players that you turn your back on them before he's even been announced as the manager. So I just feel like we need to be a bit patient with Manning, and eventually I do think this is going to be a very good appointment for Bristol City. Possibly, as I said, not in the short term right now this season, maybe next season, very probably. Hopefully this is a very good appointment for Bristol City. I am hoping that more than anyone, and this is going to be a success, hopefully, as well. But please do be patient with him, because the reaction I've seen, especially on Twitter, has just been over the top and outright just unjust, and people just not really knowing what Liam Manning is like, his coaching style, what he's done, and they'll look at the sacking at MK Dons and go, well, he got sacked in League One. There's so much more context behind it. Look what MK Dons are right now. They're in League Two and they're struggling quite a lot. So there's a lot of context behind a lot of things. So please don't make just uneducated comments on things you're just not in the know about, and try and do a bit of research before you jump to any conclusions. Well, that is my reaction to Bristol City potentially being set to announce Liam Manning as the new head coach of Bristol City. I personally love this appointment. I do think there's a massive, massive thumbs up from me. If you feel different, let me know down in the comment section below. Again, be civil, be calm, be composed, and just lay your argument out in real time. And don't really be over the top with Manning, because I don't think he needs to be going on social media to see just absolute rubbish being spouted out about him. And I do think he needs our full support from the first game away at QPR if he is announced by then. Please be civil, as I said, but also give us your opinions in the comment section down below. Hey, like if you haven't already, subscribed to HW Talk YouTube for more Bristol City content in the future. Liam Manning is set to be announced as Bristol City head coach. Hopefully I'm not jumping the gun like I did with John Eustace, but a lot more sources have come out saying that Liam Manning is set to be announced as Bristol City, paying a 6-figure compensation to Oxford United in League One. Thank you very much for watching. Keep safe, and I'll catch you later. Cheers.